Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Thursday, June 1st. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Real quick, a couple of clarifications. Number one, the price you see over here will be changing, and then the candlestick you see right there will be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time, but I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement here on video. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, SOFI. I did this in yesterday's top 10 watch list. And wow, what a move. Gapped up here, broke that level of resistance, and then just completely continued to beast mode. All this occurring on even bigger volume than what occurred on Tuesday. And there was already good, solid volume on Tuesday. But more of the story here, a lot of updates need to be done. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete these lines out as they serve their purpose for now. So let's first start with a couple areas of support. And first key level that stands out, at least in my opinion, if there is any sort of pullback, going to be right down there around $6.55. So if you're somebody that likes to play pullbacks, keep an eye on that level. And I'm not saying this will occur, but even if the price did drop down there, at that point you would have a very nice bull flag pattern because you'd have this pullback right there. But then you factor in, the big explosion from today, you would have a potential bull flag pattern. Again, I'm not saying it will pull back there, but if it does, like I said, you'd have the opportunity at that bull flag. As far as areas of resistance are concerned, for this, we got to squeeze things down here a bit more. A little bit more. There we go. Good problem to have. I realize the chart's hard to see, but that's, like I said, good problem when you have to go back this far into a chart's history, with the next key level of resistance now being up there right around $7.30. So $7.30, keep an eye on that next main area of resistance, and that's coming from way back there in mid-February. So we were talking about multiple month highs right now, but overall, very, very impressive breakout. Next one, ARDS. Very nice movement here and nice pattern. So for you penny stock players out there, you can keep an eye on this one. But in my mind, you got to think a lot of people have drawn that area of resistance right there at 45. Is it an absolute clean-cut area of resistance? I wouldn't say it's clean-cut, but there is still quite a bit of history with it right there, right there, right there, right there. So my point here is that you got to think of probably several people are watching this 45-cent mark. And when a lot of people are watching the same levels and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So while there is no such thing as a guarantee, is it logical to think that if the price curls itself back upwards and then can get a break up through 45, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly not a guarantee, but a plausible scenario to think about. So if you like those sorts of breakouts, keep an eye on that 45-cent mark. If you like to play more so pullbacks, then interesting level here for a potential pullback right down there at the 34-cent mark. But all in all, good movement, good volume, and with this nice low volume consolidation, you can see volume has dropped off quite a bit as the price goes sideways. It makes it very plausible to keep an eye on 45 cents and wonder if another nice breakout is coming. Next one here, PLTR, and finally acted human here a little bit with the gap down. But even after the gap down, it really just goes to show the strength. Gap down, price dropped all the way there, and then essentially spent the rest of the day slowly starting to grind its way back up to these highs, with the key level of resistance being up there at that red line there at $15. So pretty crazy when you just stop and think about it. At one point, the price was all the way down here. So at that point, it made sense to say, okay, well, it's looking like $15 is no longer relevant, and, it kind of is what it is. But now all of a sudden, $15 has become relevant once again after having been very irrelevant at the start of the day, which just shows, how strong it actually was. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that level right there because from the overarching standpoint, the key level of support to just continue to watch is all about that purple line right there, the 50-period simple moving average. Keyword being moving. So as time goes by, this line here is just going to move itself higher and higher. So moving averages are basically trend lines for lazy people. If you don't want to draw a trend line, that's fine. Just use a moving average and it'll quote unquote draw itself for you. So moral of the story here, from the big picture point of view, as long as the price stays above that purple line, as the line itself increases, then the overall trend is still plenty in the bull's favor. And once again, as far as key levels of resistance are concerned, all eyes up there at $15. Next one, IDAI, and nice pattern here. So this is one of these situations going back, the idea of lots of people watching. So potential self-fulfilling prophecy where just because a lot of people are watching the same level, wondering the same thing, for no other reason, it might just because people buy and therefore it creates that self-fulfilling prophecy. But we have a very well-defined trend line right there. And at the same time, you have what I would argue is a nice, well-defined area of support right there. So let me actually change that to green to represent more so the support part of the pattern. And then to make it easier to see, let's just make it all one color. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the explosion right here. For you golfers out there, make it more visual, we'll put the golf hole down here. So this would be known as a bull pennant pattern. Again, are there guarantees? No, but is it plausible? Is it valid to think that the price can come, if it can come up to the top part of the pattern and get the breakout, that breakout, which again could just be a self-fulfilling prophecy, could produce that much more upside buying pressure? Absolutely. So if you like stocks down below $5, you like bull pennants, keep an eye on it. Next one here, AMC, and the downtrend continues, lower lows, lower highs, and the first key update that needs to be done just comes about based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. So this level here was an area of support. But now with the price below it, you would expect to act as resistance. Now, to be fair, the price actually did get a nice bounce and is sitting right up around that area of resistance. But my main question is, okay, yeah, it's up at that level, but can it maintain it? Because in the past, the price has just been rejected back downwards, with the lower highs and lower lows. Now, does that mean that it's for sure going to happen again? Of course not. There are no guarantees, but my point here is that, if past history is any sort of leading indicator, it's looking like, a potential rollover very well be the case. I'll go ahead and get rid of that level. And we talked about the purple line already, but in this situation, it's now the reverse. So previous one, we talked about the purple line being an area of support. In this situation, it is a level of resistance. So same general idea of a trend line, but now you have a trend line that's going to draw itself for you, but in more so a downtrending form. As far as levels of support are concerned, nothing fancy here, just asking yourself the question, where did the party stop today for the bears? And the downwards pressure finally stopped down there at 438. So for that reason, that'll be the main area of support. Real quick, want to take a break and personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering very soon. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen, you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build consistency and manage risk, then definitely get signed up for the free live class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box to get signed up. Or if you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying, then definitely get signed up for the free live online class. Next one here, MRKR, and you've already heard me talk about it, so I'm going to go through it relatively quickly, but think self-fulfilling prophecies, think patterns that a lot of people are watching, and you got to think that all sorts of people have drawn that trend line right there. So once again, guarantees, no, but is it valid? Is it plausible to think that if the price curls back upwards and gets a break up to that level, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? Absolutely, and it's really as straightforward as that. Such a well-defined trend line, a level that you got to think a bunch of people are watching, and sometimes it's as simple as that. And one note, watch lists don't mean you randomly rush out and buy stuff. It means you find you find interesting situations, and again, not randomly rush out and start buying things, but start to watch them. So I find this a unique situation, such a well-defined level, so worth definitely keep an eye on, especially if you like this price range and you like to play potential breakouts. Next one here, TSLA, Tesla, and this is exactly why I like to do these when the market's still open, because check it out, volume is pouring in. I don't know if news came out or something, but Tesla, this final 30 minutes is absolutely beast mode, and look at that volume. Absolutely pouring in as I speak here, and this will mean a bit more to those of you that have watched yesterday's video, but if you didn't, I talked about that initial red line right there of resistance. You can see right here, this final 30 minutes has pushed up through it, which now brings about the very fun question to ask is, okay, that level has been broken. Now can we get up to this second level right there and then potentially even get a break up through that level? That area is at $204.50. But no doubt about it, and going back to the whole idea that we just talked about, finding unique, finding interesting situations, and then watching, for me at least, in my opinion, this is a very interesting, this is a very pretty cool situation to see the volume pouring in. Huge final 30 minutes, has broken that area of resistance. So is this a start of something even bigger? Let's see what Thursday has to offer. Next one, AMD, and this is a very tricky stock to talk about because it's, everything depends on perspective. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're a day trader, flipper, scalper, whatever you want to call yourself, and you bought right there, or maybe you bought right there, and your plan was to buy and sell within 20 minutes, well, from that perspective, the chart looks really, really bad. However, from the big picture point of view, and I'm not saying this will occur, but let's say that the price even pulls back that much more and comes all the way down here to the $115 and $50 mark. Again, I'm not saying it will, but for example's sake, let's just say that it does. So let me squeeze things down and maybe you can see where I'm headed with all this. But let's say the price comes down here, bounces around, and then curls back up. Now the question becomes, again, emphasis on big picture. From the big picture point of view, where are the lows at? Well, you have lows here, and then lows there, and then lows there, and lows there, and lows there, and lows there. And if you envision each one of these as stair steps, what do you have? Well, from the big picture point of view, you still have very, very clear stair steps progressing in the upwards direction. And again, that assumes that the price drops even more than what it already has. So my point here is that depending on your point of view, everything is still perfectly fine, assuming you care about the big picture point of view. In fact, some people would say, yeah, you have this downwards channel here, But what happened before this downward channel? Well, you had this big explosion up right here. So in all actuality, there's a bull flag pattern, and I don't disagree with that at all. But to reiterate, I do fully understand that if you're a day trader that bought right there, then yeah, you don't care about this bull flag pattern. You don't care about these stair steps. But that's, like I said, a completely different, framework going into it. So, is this a bad or good looking chart? That just completely depends on what your strategy going into the trade actually was. Next one, NIO, and like Tesla, very, very impressive last 30 minutes. As I speak, volume pouring in. You can see the volume bar right there, very big, and then you have this green bar here. But what's interesting, and take note, and this is the power of charts, so I'll turn this into a quick little plug for the class. Get signed up for the class. Look at it. Big move up. Now look where it's starting to struggle. Notice where it's struggling right at that purple line. Look right where the price got rejected last time, that purple line. And I mean, it's just like poetic justice here. What have we been talking about? The purple line, that 50-period moving average. And in this situation, even if you want to call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, you can see that it is indeed acting as resistance, which brings up the big question, can the price actually push up through that purple line and stay above it going into the next couple of days? That'll be big question number one, and it's a valid question. And like I said, there is no coincidence why it's all of a sudden struggling right at that purple line when it had been going up, 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 and then all of a sudden it starts to bounce around here. Well, you have that 50-period moving average. Again, that does not mean that it can't push through it. I'm just saying that it makes sense why it's struggling, and that'll be the main battleground to watch and main question to ask from a resistance side of things. In terms of levels of support, if there is any sort of pullback, then I would say a very important level of support right down there at $7.25. But by far the most interesting dynamic, I would say, is all about that purple line there, and can the price push up through it and then stay above it. Next one here, TQQQ, which is an ETF that measures the NASDAQ. So if you believe that the NASDAQ market is going to rise as a whole, this one will also rise. It just allows you access at a much lower price point, which makes it a very popular ETF. And I do this one on a pretty much daily basis here. And this will mean a bit more to those of you that have watched yesterday's video. But if you did, hopefully remember me putting in that trend line right there. And you can see that the trend line showed up very, very powerfully today. Opening 30 minutes, didn't hit it exactly, but got within the general vicinity, pulled back, came back up, general vicinity, and then actually the last 30 minutes, once again, didn't hit it exactly, but got very, very close to being rejected from that line. So on that note, you got to think that, if people weren't already watching that trend line, there's going to be that many more people watching it, which reintroduces that whole talking topic of self-fulfilling prophecies. So no guarantees, but is it valid to think that if this can come back up here and get a break up through it, that break could create that much more buying pressure? In my mind, absolutely, that seems like a valid thought process to have. So we'll continue to watch that as that main area of resistance. And then as far as levels of support, keep an eye on that purple line there, which you now know is the 50-period moving average, right now valued at $34, and we'll just call it 50 cents. In the event the price does drop down through that level, next key general level of support after that would be down there around the $33.50 mark. But yeah, I think all eyes on that trend line, so grab some popcorn and let's see if the price can get a push up through it on Thursday. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you like what you saw here, then I want you to get signed up for the free live training. Like I said, it'll be very soon, Thursday, June 1st at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So definitely go and get signed up. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy these, please do two things for me. Hit the like button, leave a comment, even if it's just leaving a number, saying hi. Tell me what you traded today. Tell me what you're watching tomorrow. But those two things help out the algorithm, help out the channel, and communicate to me that you're enjoying. And as long as I know people are enjoying, I'll continue to put the required time and effort to get these watch list video out to you. So thanks for watching. And again, hit that like button, leave a comment below, and get signed up for that free class.